Today, as we introduce this podcast series, we're really excited to welcome Sister Suzanne Sassus, who's the foundress of the St. Joseph Fund. Gabby sat down at length with Sister Suzanne, and together they explored the history and heart of the fund, its origins, and also discussed where it's going and their hopes for the foundation and for the community. Here it is.
Okay, so I'm so excited we're here today.
I'm happy to be here too.
Aw, well, Sister Suzanne, 40 years ago, you led the effort to establish the St. Joseph Fund. And looking back, tell us a bit about how that happened. Why did that happen?
Well, the first thing I'll tell you is that I didn't lead the effort then.
Okay.
40 years ago, when we hired Bob O'Leary.
And who was Bob O'Leary?
Bob O'Leary was the first CEO. He had been a 38-year-old guy from Chicago. He ran the Chicago Hospital Association. But came to us, and we were very excited about that. And he looked around at the system and he said, "You're way behind. Your hospitals are way behind. There are all these for-profit corporations starting. They're way ahead of you. We've got to get a plan in place and move ahead." So the first thing he did was develop a strategic plan. But having heard us, he thought, well, I better go to the different hospitals, at least talk to the sisters about it.
Right.
So he came with this plan, well developed in terms of the financial, perhaps the HR, the locations, the facilities, but not a word about mission. No place. Caring for the poor, nothing. Well, they exploded at the meeting, and no, we couldn't have that. We have a ministry, and that's what we want to continue. This is not a ministry. Well, he heard that all over. So he came back to the office with the decision that he was not going to move on to the Board of Trustees. So this isn't me. This is the Sisters of St. Joseph. Bob, something's got to happen. So and it's not only the sisters, and then it becomes our leader. Bob O'Leary heard loud and clear and thought, how do I move ahead with this plan that incorporates the idea that this is a ministry of the Sisters of St. Joseph? So he put together a blue ribbon committee. It consisted of, well, there were doctors, trustees, business leaders. It was the president of the Irvine Company at the time, the CEO, and that's a big position in Orange County, but I don't remember his name. And a group of about, I think, 8 or 9, and then some sisters, put together this committee to talk about what does it mean to St. Joseph Health to be a ministry, and what are some of our beliefs, our values, the whole thing. There was also a subcommittee of this group that took care of just looking at how would we deal with the poor and the vulnerable. The result of all of this, the product of this committee, was the book that was put together called The Vision of Value.
Right.
You remember the vision?
I have it at my desk.
It's our Bible. If you look at it carefully, the first part talks about the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph, of unity and reconciliation, their understanding of humankind, of relationships, of caring for everyone, of being inclusive, of having leadership that would take you for all of that. Then that followed with policies that would implement our beliefs and our values. And there are 18 policies in that book, and some 6 to 8 of them deal with care for the poor. And the most developed policy in the book in terms of how to do it is policy 13, which became the St. Joseph Health Fund.
Right.
And that's how we came together. So when we saw that and our Board of Trustees approved it, that was the birth of what you're now running.
I love it because from the very beginning, there was a sense of, let's be inclusive, let's get everyone's input. And for the sisters to say, these are the priorities if we're going to become St. Joseph Health System. This is what's important. Leadership listening. and recognizing the importance of that.
Yeah. But
And
the health system is really the first time that we gave, as we said, positions, executive positions to the
right,
laity. And
right.
so we were, how would the sisters that work with the suits, as we irreverently call them, these gentlemen, how would they understand and implement who we are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and looking back, you, in partnership with many, established the St. Joseph Fund. And 40 years ago, not only did you establish a fund, there was a lot of formalities. It's an independent 501c3 within the system with its own board.
That's right.
And tell me a bit about that. Why were you so intentional about that?
That was Bob O'Leary's.
Okay.
He knew when he talked to the CEOs of the hospital, they weren't so excited about Policy 13.
Why?
Well, that their experience of having to take care of poor, not in the hospital. This now we're saying the fund will take care of the poor and vulnerable outside of the hospital. Now you have to go through the walls of the hospital and reach out to the community.
Right.
Maybe some of them did that,
Right.
but by and large, there were still a lot of sisters who were the CEOs. So.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
Mm-hmm.
there were more and more lay people in that position, and they weren't that excited. So to ensure that they would really do this and really spend it, they had to transfer their money from their accounts into a
into the fund.
Yeah.
You know, and until last year, Providence St. Joseph Health was the only Catholic health system that has this type of fund. Another system just introduced a similar fund. But it's amazing that everyone was so visionary about doing this in such a way. And my first engagement with the fund was as a grantee. I worked for a nonprofit here in Orange County,
I'd forgotten
Latino
that.
Health Access.
Yeah.
And we were requesting funding for the Promotora program. And I remember when we were looking at the RFP, it was different. There were questions about what is the issue and what do you think are the solutions? Tell me a little bit about some of those grants that you cared about the most or that really had an impact in you and other leaders at the time.
Well, when we're looking at the small one, when the foundation when we started the first fund the first year, we didn't have much money and we had everything was just getting established. Bob said, okay, $15,000. Each hospital can have $15,000 and ask them for what they need. And I think maybe I was the only one then. I so gave him 15,000. That was it, and see what happens. That was the very beginning. But soon after that, we hired Maya Dunn.
Right.
To come on board, and she had a background, and she also had a commitment to our mission of caring for the poor. Yes. And she's the one who helped us develop, what do people need? How can we respond to the needs? How can we work together? And from the start, I think we kept saying, we're not just going to count numbers. We are going to take care of 30 people, or we're going to do 14 of these. What impact?
Exactly.
What impact will our efforts have on the others? And in order to do that, we kind of have to work together. So there wasn't close working together at the beginning, but there was some intent to look beyond, give them a grant, and let them go.
Right. And looking back, my relationship evolved from being a grantee to being an intern to then being hired under Maya's leadership as its first program officer. And at the time, you were our vice president of sponsorship.
Yes.
And you sat on our board. And what I enjoyed about the board, and that still stands now, 50% of that board is made up of executives of Providence St. Joseph Health. The other 50% are those community experts, those who have that lived experience and understand what it means to work in community, right? And tell me a bit about how you've seen the fund evolve, because you've been involved in the beginning and then as our leader and then most recently as a board member over these years.
Oh, well, it's grown and changed tremendously.
Yeah.
Two basics, though. One, the mission has stayed stable. And I think that's what's held it in position. I mean, to this day, I love your newsletter, founded in love.
Rooted in love.
Rooted in love.
Yes.
That's where we are. So it's like the arrow that's gone through for 40 years. We're going to take care of the poor and the vulnerable. There are a lot of other needs, and you can talk about community outreach there or community development, but they don't take care of the poor and vulnerable. So we've got our mission statement. And the other thing is that we have always tried, as you said, to respond to the growing needs and to our own understanding of what is effective. We started by one will help an organization or sometimes even an individual to try to do something. But we knew that in order for a community to grow, we've got to enable its own leaders. So that has become a big part. And then we saw that it's not, at first it was pretty much health.
Right.
Defined very narrowly.
Yes.
And then the broadening of the concept of health, even in community work. Then the need for collaborative effort.
Yes.
What, be it for getting more funding, being for just working together, and seeing that the health is dependent on education, on food, on housing, on leadership. That grew. I'm trying to think of the name in 2000 that we did for health.
A community building initiative.
No, it was just in the general field of healthcare. It was anyway the broadening
The broadening definition of health.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have kept the steady part and then tried to respond to what's going on to strengthen the collaborative effort and bringing all that together.
Yes.
And then we have also tried always to say, what do you need? Not what we see, we think you need.
Exactly. And if we go deeper on the work of the fund, we've always been very intentional in aligning it to our Catholic identity, the legacy of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Orange, and Catholic social teachings. And one of them is the common good. And one of the unique aspects of this fund is that we do this disaster funding. And we've always been asked, internally and externally, why do you fund outside of this country? And we've always talked about the origins of that commitment to disaster funding. Can you share a bit about that?
Yes, I can. First of all, to say, when we divided the fund into 4 sections, local, take care of the local needs, needs that we would take care of from a central level. And then we had 1/4, and then the endowment, and then one was for this disaster.
Right.
And I think that started way back in '86.
Yes.
With if you'll remember the Mexican earthquake.
Oh, yes.
And actually, the way it became known is that one day it appeared in USA Today that this health system had given $1 million to help. And when Bob first said, we want to respond to it, I said, only if it's not known in the newspapers. I said, I want this. The sisters do not do it for publicity. We don't want it anyway. So the story of getting involved is that when there was a disaster, Bob O'Leary got his right-hand woman, Eleanor Brewer, a woman, he said, I cannot come to be your CEO if I cannot bring Eleanor Brewer. I said, what will she do? And he said, well, a number of things. But she did great things for us. But she took the lead here. The first thing she did was send a small group of people to a hospital in Mexico City, the Red Cross Hospital. That's the one we're going to help. I said, you sent them down there? I talked to her the other day because I didn't remember all of this. She said, well, we needed to know what they needed. She said, remember, the sisters started in 1650 by going into the city, asking the people what they needed and responding to those needs. So she did that. She got those people down there on, she said, on short wave.
Mm.
And she had grouped up here all the purchasers from our hospitals
Oh, wow.
to listen to what the needs were. When they heard that, they in turn went to the bigger companies
Mm-hmm.
who would have the equipment and things that they needed to
Mm.
see what deals they could do there. And
Mm.
she said the most beautiful thing there was that if they were not in line to be served next, because there were priorities,
Mm-hmm.
they gave way to us to be able to get the equipment we needed. Then, having done all of that, we got an airplane,
Oh,
to
wow.
load all this equipment on, and people donated ways to get it onto the airplane. And she said, remember, we left from Ontario, not at LAX, because you didn't want any publicity. I said, no, I didn't remember that. But that's how we did our first out of country.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a focused approach in response to what the people needed.
Yeah.
As a result, the equipment that we brought down could plug into their
Right.
circuits,
Yeah.
and the others could. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember there was a lot of requests from our caregivers at our hospitals who had families in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember the story from the very beginning when I joined the health system. And now, under Jason Laxamana, who's our director, we are still partnering very closely with Catholic Charities USA. That's for the domestic.
Mm-hmm.
CRS, Catholic Relief Services.
That's
And
fantastic.
right.
Yeah.
And it's really asking them to tell us what they need and being more proactive, because we know disasters will happen. And what's also unique that you led, it's not only natural made disasters, it's also man made disasters. So we've been able to support refugees due to war, for example. And I know you say you weren't the leader of all this,
No.
but you were. And you were.
Well, anyway, this is how we got into. And there was another concept that led to, and that is the neighbor who is stranger.
Mm.
It's something that we had a program that came and went, the ICON program, Intensive Care of Neighbor. And that was one of the original funds within, when we divided the fund, how it would be used,
Right.
that we would set aside money for initiatives which were not in the local area.
Mm.
The CEOs were not keen about that.
Mm.
And that's one reason it didn't really last. We
Okay.
didn't have much support. But the intent was to find a program that perhaps our group that was looking for them, we had a committee for that,
Mm-hmm.
of experts from around the country, actually.
Right.
But they would go out and find something that said, that's got potential, but it needs some help. And if we help them, maybe it'll draw the attention of others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's how we got out beyond ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to do things. Actually, the big success story, in my estimation anyway, is the San Francisco prenatal.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco prenatal. Yes, that this wonderful woman, who's a dear friend and whose name I forget at the moment, that has grown into this huge, huge program in San Francisco to get pregnant women off the streets, that do the whole prenatal program.
Yeah. That's become a national model now. It's
That's
become a national model, and reflecting on we as a team and reflecting on those lessons learned, the importance of partnership,
yes,
of thought partnership, of being at the table and not assuming we know everything, right? And investing in promising practices, investing in projects that we know the community has that wisdom. And even if it's not proven, we have the value of partnering and being with them and believing in them,
and then
and
somehow
doing
other people pay
other
attention.
people,
Then
and then we do multi-year funding, right? Because we
yes,
need to give them a chance to
yeah,
get their ideas evolved and providing technical assistance. Right?
that's right.
That's right. That's how the fund
And
has also
that's the
evolved.
coming together.
Yeah.
And that's the common good.
That's the common good.
Mhm.
And respecting the dignity of everyone, right? Of all our partners. So you talk about that you're retired, that you left the health system years ago. You stepped down from the board a couple of years ago, but you're still very committed to this work. You're here today because you acknowledge the importance of this work. Sometimes it's not easy work. Sometimes it's tiring. It's emotional. What keeps you going? How do you keep that fire going inside of you?
Well, the first thing is I don't have to do the work. I don't have to confront the problems. I just have my commitment. Probably most of all because I'm a sister of St. Joseph of Orange, and that's what my life is all about, to go out into the neighborhood to see what people need and how can I respond to them. Today, at my age, I can't do most of it. What I can do is pray for you, show interest in what you do. If today I still know some people that can help, have relationships to offer those to you, but I will always have that. And I have complete trust in you, Gabby, and I love you dearly. And I know that we share the same hopes and vision.
Thank you, sister.
So for
Thank
me, it's
you.
not hard. It's for you. Tell me, because you have all the work,
Yeah.
all the burdens of leadership.
Yeah. And it's not a burden. You know, looking back, it's really been my upbringing, my family, my lived experience. Coming to this country, my parents' vision was you will be educated so you can serve others. And it's been a gift to be able to find my passion for community, my education, and a place to work and bring those gifts to every day. Now I'm crying. I recognize that I can't do it alone. So that's what I've been learning. It takes a team. I have a great team, and we have great support. And so to me, this is my calling. And this is why I'm here. And it's never been a burden. I've just learned to believe that we don't have to solve everything, and that in working in community and bringing others to the table is how we're going to move forward. So, not a burden,
Not a
actually,
burden.
love.
And what I hope is that the rest of the Providence St. Joseph Health System can understand this, that this isn't just another department.
Right.
It's not just a department of the health system. It's a piece of the foundation. And if we don't have this, we're not a ministry. We cannot be a ministry if we cannot extend the healing ministry of Jesus to the poor and the vulnerable. That's part of the Sisters of Providence in their mission. They spell that out. And it's for more and more of the entire system family to embrace this, to share the same passion we do.
Yeah.
Might take a while, but
It's there.
it's the if we are in fact a ministry of the church, the whole health system, to extend the healing ministry of Jesus, then this foundation stands in the center.
All rooted in love. You know, so now, 8 years ago, we're now part of Providence St. Joseph Health. And the fund is the grant making foundation, the Providence St.
For
Joseph
the whole
Health,
system.
for the whole system. So tell me what you think, what is that hope or vision that you have for the fund 40 years later? The baby is 40 years old.
Oh, dear. Well, my first hope is that our Providence brothers and sisters also see the value of it the way we do. That it's like a foundation of the entire. For us, when we started, as I said before, it was the thing you had to do because it was the sisters thing. And gradually, at St. Joseph Health, we began to see that it was the right thing to do, and people that came to us and worked with us shared those values, and we were always proud of that part. And it's to hopefully that becomes a vision for a huge, I don't know how you do it, but that's it. It's like we have this rich, it's a structure, but it's a whole people thing. It's a whole movement to help the underserved. And that movement, like a river, could flow into the entire system.
I love that.
And not flood them, but water them with
Yes.
That's what I would like to see, with the continued strength of the direction, the vision of the value, the mission. That motivates everything we do. And then from then on, it has to change to meet the needs of the time, to respond to the needs of the people. I mean, I probably wouldn't recognize half of it now. You know, I've just been
Right,
out of it for so long.
right.
But that's what I would envision.
Well,
But you can do it.
we can do it. And, we have a team and we have a lot
Yeah.
of support and our leaders as well. And really grateful that you've been with us on this journey. Again, when I joined the health system, you were our vice president of sponsorship.
Yes, and you were just a young thing.
I was just a young thing. And here we are. But thank you again, Sister Suzanne.
You're welcome.
Thank you.